time to really feel the rejection that I was feeling. And so I did that that night. I really like made it a point to feel it, and I approached her about it. And at first she didn't want to talk because she's like, I don't think we know how to talk to each other.
Mm,
But then she talked, and I really listened, and I made it a point. And I have to tell you, it felt like, um,
yeah.
I basically I felt her pain, and then I felt a ton of shame about it. And
And
then
and what was you felt a ton of shame about what?
making her feel bad. And
I see.
as we
So
were
you got into
talking,
her stuff. Uh-huh. Go ahead.
yeah, so as we were talking, she mentioned, how it's been over the last however many years. And I was like, and I had this realization as I was sitting there that I have been doing two things. First of all, not allowing myself to feel things. And so like every time I have an emotion, I just get really irritated. And
Yes.
then every
Good
time
job.
someone else has an emotion and I feel empathy, I feel really irritated because I feel the emotion. And so it's like I've been doing the same that my dad was doing to my mom and then to me.
Correct.
And so
Wait, can I just stop right there and be like, yay, like this is really, really good that you're getting that from this. And let me quickly just tell you right away, the only reason that you're doing that with her is because you don't have the empathy for yourself all the time. And so the extra annoyance comes from the fact that then you have to have your child is getting some feelings and your teen's like, now I'm really annoyed. So it's like a block
yeah,
to empathy because you can't do it with
yes,
yourself.
yes.
This
So
is
I worked
exactly
through
what I
that.
hoped would happen. I'm so excited because I don't know if that's going to happen based on what I asked you to do.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
I worked through that. I worked through that, and I made some significant changes because of it. For example, I started feeling empathy again, just naturally. I stopped getting irritated at other people's emotions, like little things like my daughter was screaming, and instead of getting annoyed right away, I was just like, "Oh, I hope she's okay." And then, same thing, my
Wow.
son came to me crying and like really upset, and I didn't feel irritated. Like it didn't change my actions with my kids, but it changed how I felt.
Which
And then
changes the entire resonance and the communication
everything.
between those people.
Hmm.
This is
And with my wife
awesome.
as well. With my wife as well, like I noticed that I wasn't getting irritated. And the coolest thing is like I still had moments where like I'm feeling emotions, but they're not turning into irritation. They're come in and then they're going. And so it's like even if I get irritated at something, it peaks and then it like goes away. And so like last Saturday, I had to deal with like
Mhm.
customer service again at Amazon, like or not at Amazon. I had to deal with an internet issue this time, and it really like irritated me. And so I was irritated for that time, and I expressed it, and then it went away, and I wasn't irritated for the rest of the day like would have happened before.
Yay, this is
And
so
so
great.
yeah, and so it's a huge shift. But what's happening now is that I feel a like a tremendous amount of shame about all the past stuff and the
Mhm.
way I behaved in the past, to the point that it's really it's a bit overwhelming,
Yes.
and
So you
and
have
I
to
keep
let her
having
off the hook. Like,
mm,
because see, your child is what's activated now because your teen, through a combination of corrections you've made from the very beginning of you starting this process, by the way, a lot of this is now culminated in this result. And so I want everyone on the call to understand this. Like, this is a cumulative result of all the work that Leanne's done. Because now you're at a place where the teen, you're able to kind of basically that part of your defense structure, your teen that was blocking that, even if you didn't target it directly, it was able to go. Like she's not there. And so then the child is left feeling very ashamed of everything. And basically, you just want to rescue her from that and tell her like she's a little girl and she was only doing, what she was taught to do. And it's okay. And it's not her fault. And that you learned it from dad. And
yeah,
it's a
which is what I've been
survival technique.
yeah.
It's to survive. And so basically that was the best that could be done. And having some healthy shame is okay. There is some healthy shame in there, and that's you don't have to worry about whether you're not going to get rid of that necessarily. But I'm saying some of it's healthy in that you're like, oh, I don't want to act that way. But the majority of it is this very heavy, what I call carried shame, which is like, oh, you did something bad. And that it's like, nah, that you're just doing the best you could. That's how you survived your childhood. Why would you do anything differently? In other words, I don't, it's not your child's fault. And you know what? It's not your teen's fault either. Because this could be happening on the teen side too. Seems to be a little bit of
So
shaming
like
that
one
teen is
thing
doing.
that's coming up for me, this phrase that keeps coming up for me, which I can't figure out how to do the correction around, which is like what I wrote in the bottom of the email, is this like I just want to start fresh. You know, like I don't want to have to carry all that shame with me. I just want to like toss
You
it in the trash and
and
start
so
fresh.
that's and so you don't so that's your teen wanting to avoid it, but understand that's also your adult. And how you start fresh is by telling your child that she didn't do anything wrong. So in other words, you're so close. You just need to like wrap it up. Like in other words, you can start fresh after you correct this. And so this language of I just want to start fresh, I think that's more your teen. And so if you need to, you can work with her on that. But you have so much going on, so much actor around your child, that I would just talk with your child about the fact that she's ashamed over something that she had no control over and that she couldn't do anything about.
So I don't actually need to do a correction, just kind of talk to the child and see what comes up.
Well, I would try talking first and just soothe her, is what I would call it. But you probably are going to have to formalize it based on the intensity I'm noticing. So I'm not saying go correct it. I'm saying do what you kind of are inclined to do, which is let me just talk to her and just check in with her and let her know it's okay. If you want, you could write that down. And then if you need to formalize it, you already have some of it right there. And really the thing is the correction formula is not actually that complex. It's kind of like you could just talk to her like and be like, I know you're feeling ashamed about what happened. And it's making you feel ashamed and angry and sad and whatever the feelings are, you know. But it makes sense that you think and feel this way because growing up, that's how dad treated us. He didn't have empathy. And so you learn that's the way to be. And it's actually a survival technique. It's just, and our teen was doing that. You could even tell her. But it's okay. You didn't know how to do anything better. And I'm going to take care of you. You don't have to deal with this anymore. I'm going to give us a fresh start, is the language I'd like you to use.
So say I'm going to give us a fresh start.
Because you have that language, I would go ahead and use that in your kind of correction. It's like, and we're going to get a fresh start with me in charge, like something like that. Like you don't have to deal with this anymore. I'll take care of it. And I just like that fresh start language you were mentioning.
And that's going to help with like the feelings I get when like brings up something from the past. Because that's really like,
well, but okay, it will. That's your initial thing. Is like let me just let her off the hook now, and then if there's very specific stuff that shows up, you're then gonna wanna. You may have another correction or two that's more specific.
and you think it'll
Just
come up
start.
once I kind of
Oh
soothe
yeah.
this?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because you may get a huge chunk out of it, and it may not like to the point to where if it's formalized and you feel like it gives you a lot of movement, it could be that you don't have that go on anymore. Like she tells you something, and you're like, and you have healthy shame, because remember you're going to have some shame. It's called being a human and not like a psycho. So basically, it's no, really. It's like, all right, so I feel a little ashamed of this. Yeah, you should feel a little ashamed, but like maybe this much. Like, what are you going to do? It's the best you could do at the time. So you have to let her off the hook, let yourself off the hook, and then that kind of builds and carries over. But yeah, you're going to have a period of where you feel pretty ashamed about it, but it can be a lot less if you work with your child on it. But again, I want to tell you, congratulations. Really,
Thank
congratulations.
you.
And that's a big, big breakthrough for you to have.
It was huge.
It's pretty damn big. I'm just going to leave it at that. Like, I mean, that's a big thing for you to get.
Yeah.
Like, people pay me a lot of money to get that. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like an individual, like that's, no, I'm serious. Like what that is like a year's worth of, like that can culminate after a year with somebody. It's a big break. I mean, you've really worked your ass off in these calls. I have to tell you, you have the whole time. It's really, I'm very happy for you.
Thank
I'm
you.
very happy for you. It's good.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to inflate it. That's a life changer. That's a game changer for all of your
No, it is.
relationships.
I mean, I feel that in my life.
Yeah, that's great.